It's a very sensitive market. I'm Bill Baker, and this is DairyLine, an integral part of dairy business communications. And the University of Wisconsin Professor Emeritus Robert Kropp gives us his outlook next.
Eureka!
What is it?
The missing link. How to turn my healthy weaned calves into more profitable cows.
But what is it?
AmpliCalf Grower. Calves' rumens aren't ready for a high forage diet after weaning. They need accessible nutrients for optimal growth and rumen development. It's the missing link between a healthy calf and a high-producing cow.
So it's the link between wise calf feeding and more profit.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Contact your Land O'Lakes Purina feed dealer today and learn how your calves can grow more after weaning and achieve more optimal rumen development with AmpliCalf Grower.
Select Sire employees are passionate about helping dairy producers succeed in their reproductive programs. Your success is their passion. It's why Select Sires is so excited about Select Detect. Learn more at selectsires.com.
Bob, we're waiting to see the impact milk production has on farm milk prices for the rest of the year and into 2012. What's your outlook?
Even in September, the growth in milk production has been in the West, all the western states. Texas up substantially, 10% in September. California slowed a little bit. If you look at why it slowed, is production per cow. In fact, it was down in California over a year ago. I think the high feed prices and drop in milk prices, it would be about $4 lower milk prices. At base price, $21 July and August records. Now we're talking about 17, 16. And with high feed prices, high hay prices, that's going to keep production per cow trimmed. And cow numbers, which were growing every month from October through August, did not increase in September. So maybe the growth in cow numbers has stopped. Production per cow staying down, that we can keep that production growth down to 1.5% or less. USDA is predicting, I think, a 1.3% growth next year. But if we keep it there, I think we can have prices a little stronger in the futures market. High 16s, maybe back to 17 base price in 2012.
Some are optimistic that we may see higher than that.
And it can. I mean, the very sensitive market. If exports turn out a little stronger, you got the new trade agreement between South Korea, Panama, and Colombia, and South Korea particularly, they get that all in place. Could kick in 2012, strengthen exports there. The Mexican disagreement over the hauling trucks across our U.S. border has been resolved, and they've removed the tariff off of cheese, for example. They're big cheese buyers. So a little stronger exports, and if production can stay, they said, down 1.5% or so, I think price could be a little stronger than we're now forecasting.
Robert Kropp, Professor Emeritus at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Let's find out what happened yesterday in Class 3 milk futures with the Downs O'Neill Dairy Futures Report.
Yesterday in the dairy markets, the Jan-June pack was down 11 to 16.54. December was down 11 to 17.51. February was down 11 to 16.44, and April was down 12 to 16.48.
For all of your hedging needs, call the Downs O'Neill Dairy Brokers at 1-800-231-3089. No change in the cash markets to start the week yesterday. Block cheese remained at $1.7725 with no activity, while the barrels had one bid but ended the day unchanged at $1.7675. Butter was also unchanged at $1.88 with no activity.
Time now for Ask the Silage Doctor with Dr. Bob Charlie, Forage Products Manager with Lallemand Animal Nutrition. Brought to you by Biotol Forage Inoculants.
Bob, this week you're talking about the timing of inoculants.
Yeah, you need to be on top of the timing right from the start of the harvest standpoint, obviously. And so much silage these days is made by custom cutters, custom harvesters that... I hear people say, well, that's all very well, but, I need to get sequenced in with my custom guy. And that is true. But, you need to be driving that process. You need to know when your ideal date is and then work with the custom guy to try and get as close to that ideal date as possible, because other people will be. And you don't want to be at the bottom of the pile, the guy that isn't in that dialogue with the custom guy, because otherwise you will naturally fall at the bottom of the pile. The squeaky wheel gets the most oil, they always say.
You've been listening to Ask the Silage Doctor with Bob Charlie, Forage Products Manager with Lallemand Animal Nutrition. Brought to you by Biotol Forage Inoculants. If you would like to submit a question to the Silage Doctor, go to qualitysilage.com.
Tomorrow, IDFA's Jerry Slaminski joins us with the processor's perspective. I'm Bill Baker. Listen for that here on
America's Dairy
Time now for our weekly Udder Health Talk with Dr. Alan Britton.
Are you using the CMT paddle to best advantage? Hello, this is Dr. Alan Britton from Udder Health Systems with some more Udder Health Talk. You may not be using the CMT paddle at all, but it's a big mistake. It's an easy test to run. It's still very useful as a cow side test to answer the question today, does this cow have inflammation? The CMT is still excellent for identifying high somatic cell cows or quarters. But due to the readily availability of automated somatic cell counters, the usefulness of CMT has been forgotten in some parts of the industry, but the test still has great value as a cow-side test. This subclinical mass status test has two very distinct advantages that should make it a key qualifying step in every dairy's milk quality program. It's very inexpensive. It just costs pennies to run the test. It's very fast and convenient. It's always available. You can leave it in the parlor and get your answers really quickly. It is the best way to answer the question today, does this quarter have inflammation? By asking this fundamental question, you're also asking the most important question for every milk cow. Is your milk good enough to sell? There are three categories of cows you want to be thinking about with regard to this question, and that is cows with a history of high somatic cell count from monthly DHIA testing or previous mass status problems, cows that are currently in the hospital, and fresh cows. Let's take a look at each one of these because the CMT can really help get the answers you need from these animals. If you're running monthly somatic cell cows on all cows in the herd, it's particularly useful to use the CMT in conjunction with this data to look for new infections and chronics. Every month when you get your printout from your testing organization, you're going to see cows that weren't high on somatic cell last month but are high on somatic cell this month. These new infections need to be qualified with a cow-side test. You should retest the individual quarters on these high somatic cell cows to see if it's still a problem. It is true that sometimes cows will legitimately have a high somatic cell count, but it won't last very long, and by the time you get your test results back, the CMT has already returned to normal. Don't be discouraged if these cows already are CMT negative. It's expected a lot of these cows will clear up on their own. These are transient subclinical cases. The ones you're looking for are the cows with a high CMT, and if they do have it, culture to see if they have an organism that can be helped with treatment. This is your gram-positive, gram-negative test. Run the individual quarter tests on these cows and consider culling cows that have 2 or more quarters that are bad on the CMT. If you use the CMT in conjunction with the somatic cell data, you're going to have a powerful program to keep qualifying your milk herd that you've got healthy cows going into the line. Thank you. This is Dr. Alan Britton from Udder Health Systems.
Thank you, Alan. If you'd like to consult with Dr. Britton, you may do so by calling Udder Health Systems Incorporated in Bellingham, Washington at 360-398-1360.
Ever-changing technology, innovations that improve industry and our daily lives, and sometimes our whole way of thinking. For the dairy industry, genomic testing is that game changer. At the National Dairy Herd Information Association, we embrace game-changing innovations like genomic testing by being a part of the solution. We will continue to ensure information accuracy and work with industry partners, being a direct voice for dairy information. The National Dairy Herd Information Association, serving our members and the dairy industry in advancing dairy information services. For more information, go to dhia.org.
The markets were unchanged yesterday, with block cheese remaining at $1.77 1/4 and barrel at $1.76 3/4. Butter also held at $1.88. According to USDA's Dairy Market News, last week milk production continued to be at the seasonal low point in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions. Milk volumes in the mid to upper Midwest were steady to slightly lower, and California milk production is mostly steady to slightly higher and at levels above a year ago. Milk production in New Mexico tending to flatten out at current levels, and in the Pacific Northwest, milk production is following expected levels with handlers able to balance supplies with local production facilities. In Utah and Idaho, milk supplies were mostly steady in balance with expected production levels. Tomorrow, IDFA's Jerry Slominski joins us with the processor's perspective, and Shelley Mayer from PDPW previews a big summit planned later this month for dairy producers. I'm Bill Baker. Listen for that here on
America's Dairy Line.